Hello YouTube, Al here, and this week I want to talk about this guitar. This is my Epiphone Les Paul Standard from 2003. It's Korean made and it's from the Unsung factory. Now, any of you out there who are familiar with Epiphone may be thinking, hang on, this has got the wrong sort of tuners on it. Exactly. This came to me with chrome Grover tuners on it, and I always found that this guitar, for whatever reason, whatever I did to it, always had a bit of a problem staying in tune. So I recently swapped out the Grover tuners for these. These are a set of Vanson Kluson style tulip vintage style tuners. Now the Grovers that were on here were real Grovers. If you've seen Phil McKnight's video on OEM parts, what you'll realise is that quite often brands will go to a company and say, hello, we'd like to put your pickups or tuners or bridge or whatever on our guitar and charge our customer a bit more. Can we do that? And they go, yes, of course we can. And then that company goes to a factory and goes, can you make some parts and pop our name on them? And they go, yes, of course. So everybody wins but the customer. Now, I never found the Grovers were really much good. There was a bit of play before they started to sort of kick in. They felt a bit inaccurate. Believe me, I tried stretching the strings. I tried greasing the nut. I've even changed out all the hardware. This is Goto stuff. And it never made any difference whatsoever. So I decided to bite the bullet and swap the tuners. Grover tuners take a 10mm ball hole, whereas the vintage style is 8mm. So I bought some Kluson converter bushings. I had tried some cheap ones on some other guitars, and whilst they work, they looked a bit chunky and a bit bulky. And they work fine, but they didn't look right. So these are proper Kluson branded ones, and I'm very happy with the way they look. When it came to fitting the bushings, only the G-string one actually fit without a problem. With all the other holes, I had to use a little bit of masking tape around the bushing to make them a little bit thicker, just so the bushing would go in and not fall right out. I can't say why that is. They should have been drilled with the exact same drill at the exact same time in the factory. I'm going to put that down to Epiphone being Epiphone. Now the Grover tuners had a 10mm bore and they left one hole beneath the shaft hole. Ooh, and misses. When I put these new tuners on, the bottom hole lined up exactly with the old hole from the Grovers, which made my life a lot easier with lining them up. So I popped the tuner in and then I used a screw to mark out where the top hole would go. And thankfully, all of these tuners are dead straight. Of course, Epiphone have a curved headstock, which makes it a bit of a bugger to make sure that they are straight. But if you look at it face on from the front or back, none of these tuners are a bit wonky. One thing I really wanted to know is, does the tuner affect the sound? These tuners definitely stay in tune better than the old ones. There's less play in them. These are old Vansons, by the way. I bought this set of Vansons about 3 or 4 years ago. I bought these quite a bit before I did that video on the Wilkinson and Vanson, where they were both quite wobbly and inconsistent. So these are a pretty decent set of tuners. Now, one thing I really wanted to know is, does the tuner affect the sound? I've heard people say that on old guitars, if you take off the Klusons and you drill them out and you pop Grovers in, then it makes the guitar sound different. So I'm doing the opposite. I really wanted to know if it made the guitar sound any different. And I can report that actually, I think it really does. The headstock feels like it's got less weight to it. The whole guitar feels like it sings louder and brighter. There's sort of a slinkier feel to it. It feels a bit like the guitar has been top wrapped. That's when you put the string through that way and over the top of the tailpiece. So there is something to do with the feel in this that is now different. But I absolutely think this guitar sounds better to me. It sounds louder, it sounds brighter, it sounds janglier. I kept the old strings and the tailpiece and the setup when I did this swap, just to make everything scientific. So what you're going to hear now is an A-B comparison. The gear I used is my Jet City 22AH, going through my Harley Benton 112 with a V30, mic'd up with a Thomann MB75. You're going to hear the before with the Grovers, then you're going to hear the after with the Klusons. Let me know what you think down in the comments, but I'm sure that this guitar just sings louder and it feels less held back than it did before, and I can't explain why that should be the case. Again, these are the same old strings, but by Christ, it feels like a different guitar. So, Thanks for watching. My name's Al. I'll see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.